I just edited the last episode that we shot at Barley's where we did your bottle of
Oh yeah, the Against the Grain.
Against the Grain,
Yeah.
which Against the Grain is a Louisville brewery. And when you introduced it, you properly pronounced Louisville.
Oh.
I was like, oh my God, all this time together has paid off. I've learned how to drink IPAs, and he's learned how to say Louisville. It's not really an even Steven thing, but
Again, we take what we can get.
coming to you more or less live from the 1885 Tap Room on Main Street in wonderful downtown Simpsonville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John in 5. And that's where I get my good buddy here, Big John Richards, to pick a beer, and we sniff it, we sip it, we get bits about it. Sometimes John tells us a little bit about brewing history. We usually find out a little bit about the brewery. And today, John went so far as to bring a beer from his collection. I saw 2013 on that bottle, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But anyway, John, I salute you for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And what are we doing here exactly?
Always glad to be able to contribute. So this was one of the cellar rescue beers.
Oh,
Yeah.
from Barley's.
Yes. Our dearly departed Barley's. So I have not had this beer for the whole 10 years of its cellar time. And aging is has its own set of
So this is going to be a
quirks and-
surprise. We could open this and it could be,
Well, I'm fairly confident about this.
because you've opened one.
I had a 4-pack of it, and then these have been in my. These particular beers have been in my cellar for like 3 or 4 years now, but I had a 4-pack of these 2013s, and this is the last of them, and I've had all 4 of them probably in this fiscal year.
He deducted them from his taxes.
And all 3 of the 3 that I've had so far have all been absolutely spot on. And these barley wines, this is their big barley wine. It's 9.6%, I believe. And we were coming up, getting set up, and Russ said, what is this? I don't think I've heard of this beer. I was like, how? But I said, it's probably more obscure than I think it is. But this is the beer that I at least point back to as probably a reference, if not the reference point for American barley wine, especially coming out of this was one of the first ones. These guys and Old Crustacean from Rogue and Stone's Old Guardian came in and helped really define what American barley wine was going to be. And what that means for us is that it drinks more like a double IPA than like an English style barley wine. And the line between barley wine or American barley wine and double IPA is very blurred. But these big American barley wines age so well because of that hop content. They do so many fun things as they age, and the sweetness opens up, and that big bitter bite calms down. I mean, this thing, if you buy a fresh barley wine, it drinks like a double IPA. I mean, there's no mistaking the fact there are big, bomb American hops in there. When we pop this one, it's going to drink much more like an English one, except that it's going to tend toward the caramelly side. And the English barley wines tended to drop a little more on the fruity, almost like Belgian fruit side, where it's got the figs and dates and raisins things a little more up front.
I'll be the judge of that.
Right. But these things will sit around and gracefully age for 10 good years. Oh, we're getting buddy. I was just going to reach up there for him. There's no reason you can't take these big beers like this and put 10 years on them. Some of them will go for 10, 15, 20 years. I've got a bottle of J.W. Lee's Harvest Ale, which is one of the ones that we that American brewers look back to that is English barley wine. And those things don't even start getting drinkable till 10 years. And then I've seen them go on the market at 18, 20, 25 years. Somebody will be going, yeah, I've got this thing that I've been aging forever and I want to trade it for something. And you can get whatever you want. I mean, you can get whatever you want for something like that.
Yeah.
You're into trading. So it was really fun to get these things out at 10 years old and taste them. And I've had them on a couple of different occasions now. And the last one was just last night when I was watching Karate Kid.
Well, there you go. Karate Kid was
Big deal, special occasion. All right, Russ is going to try and pop my head with the towel
We
right
got,
now.
we've got a little.
There's been an ongoing. This is going to have to go in a separate category on beer to whiskey under fly episodes.
There's one fly. This place is closed. There's one fly in here, and it's spending.
I believe we let this fly in while we were loading in.
And it's spending all its time just landing on our noses. and our faces.
Turns out flies like beer.
Yeah, and so we've got some really sweet stuff spread around here. They should be honing in on that, but instead, no.
Yeah.
This is where they want to be. That's all I'm going to say
Now
about that.
we've said all that. I talked a bunch about barley wine. Let's get this thing open.
So if I haul off and whack him with a bar towel, I'm not actually whacking him. I'm
Yeah.
trying to take care of a fly.
You can zoom in on that on your phone. Sierra is that brewery that we all point back to that just helped create what craft beer was going to be in the United States, and it is one of the, if not the predominant pillar, one of the dominant pillars of what we do and why we do it. And you know, I pull some shifts at this bar, and they were kind enough to let us come in here and play. But most of the beer we do here, by design, is local stuff. So a lot of our episodes today have been South Carolina beers and close quarters beers to us that aren't necessarily available all around the country. Sierra, you can find that anywhere. You can find that anywhere.
However, having said that, and if you've spent any time with us before, you probably have heard this before, but Sierra Nevada is their East Coast brewery, 60 miles up the road from us, between here and Asheville, North Carolina. So.
And it's a cathedral, and if you haven't visited that particular brewery, it's gorgeous. It's right on the French Broad River. It's got, they do concerts, they do outdoor stuff. There's a huge outdoors area. They do great food. It's all locally sourced, and it's still a privately owned brewery. It's still a family-owned company. So.
And if you fly into Asheville, you can walk there from the airport.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can smell it.
Yeah, you can smell the wonderful beer right from the airport. So
let's get on this thing, Russ.
all right, text Miss Lily.
Run. Smell this one first.
Holy cow!
Right now, you can't help it.
Well, when you poured it, the head on that thing was just beautiful. It was such a gorgeous.
It's a beautiful pour. This is, again, a beautiful beer. And that's one of the things we've done a couple of episodes with aged beers, and that's one of the things we've talked about. If you pop the top on a bottle like that and you see the little wisp of carbon dioxide hitting the air and you pour it and it's got head left on it, you can be 99% that it's aged gracefully or as aged properly. So there are not a lot of beers that are built to age like this, but when you find them, they are fun. And Russ is, I can see, enjoying the bouquet. Bouquet?
Tomato.
Yeah, it's
Just like pecan or pecans.
right,
Louisville or Louisville.
right. Yeah.
We, speaking of Louisville, I just edited the last episode that we shot at Barley's where we did your bottle of
Oh yeah, the Against the Grain.
Against the Grain, which Against the Grain is a Louisville brewery. And when you introduced it, you properly pronounced Louisville.
No.
I was like, oh my God, all this time together has paid off. I've learned how to drink IPAs, and he's learned how to say Louisville. It's not really an even Steven thing, but
Again, we take what we can get. Yeah, you get all those. You get all that big toffee caramel flavor. Those big grains. It's big and bready and almost sourdoughy, and you get the a big spice on the finish too. That might also be reminding me of sourdough. And a lot of that comes from the hops that have mellowed down, but there's just almost no bitterness to this beer at all.
Oh, there's none.
anymore. It's so smooth and it's so rich. It's just beautiful. And sitting down and spending some time with this and letting that beer warm up, and the experience of how much it travels between when you open it and 45 minutes or an hour later when you finish it.
Yeah, in another 15, 20 minutes, this is going to be just
Dynamite.
outrageously
Yep.
stupid good.
Yeah, that's why, I was watching the last episode of the Karate Kid series last
Is
night.
that in 3D?
No, but it was by the time I was done.
Put on those red and
Yeah.
and it's like
So
oh yeah.
it's quite good, and if you're looking for a recommendation for something to watch, it's a lot of fun, and I guess they're coming out with more of it. It said they were at the end, but I was celebrating finally getting through the whole series, and so I popped a bottle. I was like, I'm having a good beer, so I stuck one in the fridge and spent an hour with it watching that episode, and it's just beautiful. And you can time it. Like, right at the end, I was taking my last sips in the last couple of minutes, and it's an experience, and it can flavor your life.
John talking about having this beer and getting it out of barleys. And this was the sell-off they did 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
ago out of their wine cellar. They have, or had, a wine cellar an aging cellar that probably 500-600 bottles, maybe
I was
more,
going to say 1,000.
Yeah, maybe 1,000 bottles.
And
a lot-
especially if you count all, because they had kegs they were aging too.
Yeah, but they had, and a lot of those were bombers. They
Yeah.
weren't little, but they were bombers. And when they closed, I know they did
They did a big cellar day when they closed, and neither one of us got to make it to that one.
yeah, but boy, however, once we found out they were closing, and about 2 weeks before they did close,
Oh yeah, we got to have
Yeah.
a night in there.
yeah, we hosted a little private tasting and had, I don't know, 6 or 8.
They had a groovy little tasting room that hardly anybody knew about.
Right.
But you could rent this thing out and put 10 or 12 people in there and have you have your dinner in there and have a tasting event, and it was a fabulous
Yeah,
experience.
we had about 6 people come, and then we just got to walk around and pull stuff off the rack. John did most of the pulling because he'd go, oh my God, look at this. And because I don't know beer nearly anywhere close to as well as John does. But, it was magnificent. I had a couple of beers in there that night that I'd never had before.
Yeah.
And it was just outrageous.
And there's a world out there in beer that people don't know. Pairing beer with food is so much fun. Beer dinners like that, doing aging events and doing bottle shares, and the craft that goes into craft beer gets on display. There's nothing else out there like it. I don't think there is. I don't think in any other spirits there's as big a world as there is in beer.
An accessible world.
And accessible. And that's what I mean. Specifically that there is a beer out there for you.
Yeah.
There's a beer out there for you, and it's not, you don't have to go spending hundreds of dollars to find it either. The most expensive beer you're probably ever gonna buy might be $30. And that's if you well, and then you could get some somebody that sat on a beer like this for 10 years and wanted to say, all right, I'm going to sell you this beer for $100. It might be a different story,
Right.
but that's like buying like buying beer it's like buying Thomas Jefferson's wine. I don't know. I was on a rant, and then I decided I didn't want to be on that.
My
rant
grandfather
anymore.
used to make peach wine. He had a wine press and made his own peach
Yeah.
wine. That would be worth something today. I
Probably.
think. Yeah.
Probably.
Wasn't worth shit when he was making it, but if we had kept some, if we had held on to it, if only we knew.
The press probably would be too.
So damn lucky. See you next time.